Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo to Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, we have to have a talk, okay? If I had to whittle down my experience and my impression of the Chargers fandom over the last couple of days into one word, I think that word right now would be tension, okay? You're going to feel tension. You're going to feel tension from me in this video. You're going to feel tension from the vibe of the fans right now. There's a lot of tension going around for Chargers fans because honestly, I don't know if any of us really have any answers right now. The Chargers drop another game in historical fashion to the Tennessee Titans, losing 27-24 in overtime. It's gutting. It's absolutely gutting, Bolt fam. But I also felt it was really important for me to open up this video with a message, okay? We have waited a long time for Chargers football to return, okay? And feeling let down, that's fine, all right? Being angry even, also fine. I'm not saying don't be angry. I'm saying definitely be angry. This is something that you're passionate about. This is something that you care tremendously about. And I think it's okay to let that passion carry towards disappointment and anger when we're seeing results the way that we're seeing them. But that doesn't mean, by any means, at least from my definition, that it is time to give up on the team. Time to bring on the pessimism for the rest of the season. I think that a lot of people use pessimism and negative energy as a shield, right? To shield themselves from the consequences of putting themselves out there, right? You put yourself out there, you get disappointed like you did last week. Well, at least you're on the right side of opinion, whereas people I feel that still throw down and do show care and investment towards something like this are better rewarded in the end. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is it's okay to be upset. We say this a lot in the channel, bolt up today, or be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. That's absolutely the case here, but that doesn't mean we're not going to hold this team accountable. That doesn't mean we're not going to hold our coaches and players accountable. It's very important that we talk this stuff out. And after, a couple of days of marinating, I normally do this video the day after the game, I think I'm ready to talk about it. And I think it's very important that you and I have a conversation about what's going down and what we can expect going into the future and what we should expect as fans going into the future as well. So before we do get started, guys, shout out to the sponsor. Okay, I know it's tough out there, but if you guys have been waiting for NFL football this long, a great way to keep your head above water and have fun anyway is to join Underdog Fantasy. Okay, I still watch the other games. I watch Chargers, obviously, the most intensely, but I play fantasy football pretty religiously for the last several seasons. In my opinion, the best way to enjoy the season is with fantasy football. If you guys want to get in on the best fantasy platform on the web, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100. Tons of specials going on right now. And it honestly makes Sundays that much more exciting. All right. Now with that, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this video, man. We got some accountability to hand out. Lights, camera, action. Your Chargers at Titans post-game disaster reaction. Okay, I honestly don't even know what I'm going to title this video. We have a lot to talk about. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to approach this topic the last couple of days because, yeah, everybody's a little sensitive right now. And I think it's totally justified, right? Like I was saying before, we waited all off season. There's a lot of hype built up, not just by me, but by the team with Kellen Moore, the players, the draft. Everything leads up to one moment in September, and that's kickoff, and that was a letdown. But you know what? It's okay. We're traveling to Tennessee. This team looked like hot garbage last week. Let's go kick some butt and redeem the Chargers' name. A repeat performance, if not worse than week one, leaving Chargers fans, I'm sure the Chargers players and personnel and everything revolving around the Chargers, feeling like they're down in the dumps. And that sucks. I care a lot about this team. I do. I've chosen things to invest my time and my commitment and my emotions, even my emotional health at times, very, very peculiarly, right? I feel like I'm very picky with the things I put my time into, and the Chargers are above all, above a lot of things in my life. Outside of family and real life responsibilities, the Chargers hold a significant amount of love from me, and to watch them fail in such spectacular fashion over and over again is painful. It's very, very painful, and I think it's okay for us to let ourselves feel that pain and hope there's a way we can work through it, and maybe try to find a way to identify what the heck is going on, because that's probably the biggest question I've got after every game the past couple of weeks, right? Like, what the heck is going on? This team's good. This team's got players. This team's got talent. What is going on? I think a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction would be the coaching. We got to throw the coaching under the bus, which, honestly, we're going to hold the coaching absolutely accountable in this video, but they're not alone. Okay, that's what the first topic of this video is going to be. This is a team loss, y'all. This is on everybody. This is on Brandon Staley. This is on Kellen Moore. This is on Justin Herbert. This is on the players. This is a team loss. Everybody shares the blame this week in some way, shape, or form. Does that mean we're turning our back on anybody? No. Does it mean that we're off on anybody like Justin Herbert? All of a sudden, Justin Herbert isn't the guy anymore? No, we're not saying that. We're just trying to identify what happened. And this week, everything happened to everybody. And that does show some problems with this team. Some things that might have gone ignored during the offseason, some issues that may have got swept under the rug. Certainly issues with communication and coaching, which we're going to get to in just a second. But I wanted to kick this video off in terms of topics and let everybody know that this was a team loss. Okay? For those of you who want to say, hey, we got to hold the coaching accountable, you're going to get your segment in this video. For those of you saying, when you got to hold Justin Herbert accountable, you're going to get your segment in this video. But I wanted to make sure it was out in the foreground that I don't know if I'm putting this loss on one particular person. This team has issues. This team has things that they need to sort out, and they've got to figure out quick. We are week 2 into the season, 0-2. The statistics behind overcoming an 0-2 start are not looking good, and the Chargers season is about to get tougher. Look at this, guys. This week we're facing Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the NFL. We might be able to beat the Raiders. I think we absolutely should. But then the Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs. It gets tough out here, man. It gets tough out here. We cannot be dropping games like this. There are obvious issues. And honestly, all of a sudden, I'm starting to think that early week 5 bye is actually coming at a pretty good time because we got things we have got to sort out. This team is off on a bad start. And we don't have a lot of time to right the ship here. The big part of this team loss, and I would say the parts of what I am starting to see as a fan that's wrong with this team, again, isn't starting to lean one way or the other. Because last week, I think the defense sucked. Okay, big reason why we lost to the Dolphins. This week, I think the offense wasn't particularly great. I think they were good for a majority of the game, but when it really mattered, they were not that good. And this isn't good because, once again, it's just kind of further pushing the narrative that this isn't a one or sided thing. I think ultimately you can lean one way or the other, but this is both sides of the ball here, folks. The only thing that on this team right now that I'm feeling really good about is special teams, and that's not good. This team needs an identity. And when they hired Brandon Staley, I was feeling like this team's identity was going to be on defense. And I think we built up a lot of momentum there. We've made a lot of signings, spent a lot of money. That's not happening. The defense is not good. Then we go out and hire Kellen Moore, who, again, still very unproven. Week 2, I think he deserves more time with us. I think he showed a great outing in week 1 despite the loss. Week 2, I think there were some good parts out there, but still, I think there's some obvious coaching issues, communication issues from Kellen Moore even, that's going to have to be ironed out. And that's this next segment here, man. Pivotal moments collapsed by bad coaching. That is what I saw in this game. The Chargers, in my opinion, were the better team. The Chargers, in my opinion, had a majority of the game in terms of momentum. I think there's several moments where the Chargers should have put this game away early, very early. There were things that I was talking about in beating the Tennessee Titans that are very important, which were, making Ryan Tannehill uncomfortable, which we accomplished, slowing down Derrick Henry, which we accomplished, and then outscoring them early in order to move them away from the run game, which we also accomplished. By all means, everything that we had done and all the momentum that we had gained should have led us to a situation where we can put this game away pretty easily. But in the end, there are pivotal moments. There are moments that can turn the tide in any game that I think are led and steered by your leader, your captain, your coach, where the Chargers ran aground, right? They found that sandbank and just ran right into it. And ultimately, that is on your captain. In this case, captains, right? Including Ensley, the defensive coordinator. I think all the coaching shares a lot of responsibility here. Sure, the players, which we're going to get to in just a second, absolutely sharing that blame as well. But the coaching, that is something that no NFL team is going to feel good about because they have control over that. Ownership has control over that. I know a lot of Chargers fans really sour on Dean Spanos and the whole Spanos situation. I'm completely on board with you guys there. That's something that they have control over, that their actions bleed into the regular season from. That's something that we can change. And right now, at least in my opinion, it's a big reason why this team is running aground. Communication, penalties. These are two things that I think really stripped the Chargers of a win this last week. And this, again, is on Staley and Moore. On Staley's side of things, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but the defense needs to be so much better. How many points have we given up the last 2 weeks? Over 60? Has to be. Because Justin Herbert's been keeping pace, point-wise. Discipline-wise, the penalties are absolutely killing us. I mean, I understand that there's a couple of penalties here and there where you're like, the refs didn't have to throw that. The refs, the Zebras are after us again. What sucks is that there's not much you can do about that. Because in the modern NFL, if you get close to doing something, committing something, you're going to get called for it. Derwin James, one of the best players you'll find in the entire league, especially on defense, right? Committed a pretty bad penalty, generating a first down for the Titans. I think ultimately they went to score on that, right? And that was, leading with your helmet. Of course, us as Chargers fans, we're going to defend the fact that, hey, man, he was leading with the shoulder. It just happens, that the helmet made contact. There's still control in the player's court where they can try and avoid that, okay? And ultimately, that is led by good coaching. You hammer that idea into these players' heads long enough and aggressively enough, you're going to see less of that on the players and on the coach right there. Another penalty, Sebastian Joseph Day running into the quarterback. That is, again, something that I wish the refs wouldn't have thrown. They could definitely not have thrown it. They did, and it caused another first down for the Titans, and I think they scored again on that opportunity. The Chargers shooting themselves in the foot with penalties, and this is not the first time. Last week was almost as bad as this week in terms of penalties. And you'll say, the Chargers, we've given up a good amount of yards with these penalties, but it's not even that. It's the situations. When it comes down to it, we've got them on the ropes. It's 3rd and long. It's 4th down. All of a sudden, a penalty comes into play, or the defense chokes and a big play is generated by the opponent on their offense. That's to me, it feels like the leadership is having some issues here, building that confidence in what you're doing. I feel a lot of the times understanding is confidence, right? If I understand what I'm going to go out and accomplish today, which today I'm going to the gym, right? I'm going to make this video, and I'm going to go play some Apex Legends later today. I'm very firm and confident in what I'm doing. That does generate confidence. I know what I'm doing, right? When there's confusion, lack of communication, I think doubt starts to enter your mind. And I feel like I saw that all over the field this last week. So much doubt in Justin Herbert. So much doubt in the defense. A lot of these things affected by what the coaches were deciding to do and their actions and their decisions in terms of personnel, which we're going to get to in a second. You cannot allow that. Your job as a coach is to build that confidence. I think if you were to take one moment from this game and say, hey, director, this is kind of a defining, moment for the coaching for the team this week, it was that final drive in overtime. The Chargers fight their way back. Yes, we shouldn't have to be in that position to begin with, but we fight our way back. We're going to overtime. We win the coin toss, which is a big deal. If you guys watch, football the last several seasons, winning the coin toss in terms of statistics is a very big deal. We get the ball first. That drive in overtime is one of the worst things I've ever seen. and again, I feel like a lot of it came down to communication. The play calling could have been better. Yes, I feel like Kellen Moore, there's things that he could have done to make that easier on Justin Herbert and bring more success in that OT potential victory. But that lack of communication spilled over so dramatically and so spectacularly on that 3rd and long. You guys remember that? Justin Herbert, I think it may have even been this photo here. What is going on? The players look at each other like, what do we do? What are we signed up for? Are we audibling in or out? Am I lined up correctly? Is it a run? Is it a pass? What's happening? There was so much confusion just spilling all over the field in that play. Ultimately, that opportunity to convert a 3rd and long, which of course would have been tough anyway, completely wiped out because of lack of communication. Things that should be fixed in camp. Things that should be fixed in practice. Things that should not be an issue are an issue for the Chargers and continue to be an issue week by week. And that is a reflection on the coaching, in my opinion. Players need to execute, sure, they absolutely do. But your job as a coach is to instill the confidence that you know what you're doing. You feel Justin Herbert was confident in what he was going out there with on 3rd and long and OT? Do you feel Justin Herbert was confident in the play call? Do you think Justin Herbert was confident in his ability to communicate with his line and his players? No, there was no confidence there. And that led in one of the most unspectacular overtime attempts I've ever seen as a Chargers fan. What led us to overtime, though? Big thing that I need to point out in terms of the offense, in terms of even maybe Kellen Moore needing to talk into, was our ability to convert on 3rd down this week. What happened to this duo, right? Herbert to Keenan Allen, 1st down. We did not see any of that this week. What happened? What happened? The Chargers, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I think I remember hearing somebody talk about it, saying that we went, I think, 2 for 14 on 3rd down attempts. Is that correct? Let me know in the chat. Is that correct? Chargers 2 3rd down conversions. That is horrible. Is the play calling that bad? Is the execution that bad? The only person I really saw step up this week outside of Justin Herbert was maybe Keenan Allen and a little bit of Mike Williams here and there. Putting up that kind of statage, which I think Justin Herbert threw for over 300 yards, Allen had over 100 yards, and only putting up 2 first downs, I think is also a reflection maybe on the play calling this week, which again, we're going to give Kellen Moore the benefit of the doubt because he's new here and he's bringing quite the pedigree in with the Chargers. I think ultimately by the end of the season, we're not going to remember this game as, oh, Kellen Moore, whiffed it. We're going to think this marriage of Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert is beautiful. And they figured it out, and it's going to be amazing going forward. But in this game, in this moment, and in this particular stat, not being able to put up first downs is going to kill you. And it is one of those things that they're going to have to figure out very, very quickly. Speaking of which, Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert, a lot of people throwing a lot of shade at this whole idea, especially I think Cowboys fans, for whatever reason, are finding a good opportunity to come in and say, hey, man, we're right about Kellen Moore. We should have taken him out a long time ago, et cetera, which is fine. Obviously they're finding success in what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. What we're doing is better for this team. Yes, Kellen Moore didn't have his best game this week, but that's still a lot better than what we saw from Joe Lombardi for the past several seasons, right? And I think, in my opinion, this partnership of Herbert and Moore, it's still marinating. Okay, poor Justin Herbert, man. The dude's had a new OC just about every year of his career, right? I think they need time to create this idea, to create this identity together. Justin Herbert, and this is something I don't think I've heard talked about very much. Coaching can have a negative effect on players in terms of generating bad habits. Poor Justin Herbert, man, was groomed the last couple of seasons by Joe Lombardi to be that dink and dunk guy, to be more efficient, tossing underneath, to be a thrower, not a passer. And that is something I think he's trying to still break out of today. Break out of that, security of all I got to do is find the open man underneath. No, in this new Kellen Moore offense, you're going to have to find the open man in the intermediate and deep parts of the field. And we saw a lot of maybe still needing time to grasp that concept from Justin Herbert this week. I saw very many plays where he tossed it into double, sometimes triple coverage. That to me tells me that he is still grasping the concept of what Kellen Moore wants him to do. You can't make that read. You can't make that throw after seeing that coverage. Okay? So what I'll tell you guys right now is that this is still marinating. The jury's still out. There were mistakes made this week, obviously, and that's something that you guys can definitely take to the bank. But I still think this whole thing is still marinating. I think in the end, this is going to be a good thing for the Chargers. Coach Moore and Justin Herbert could definitely become an identity of this team offensively going forward, and I think it's going to be a very dangerous one in the future, but it needs more time. What about Justin Herbert individually? Lots of Herbert photos today. Lots of conversation around Justin Herbert this past week. A lot of people asking themselves the big question. There's 3 words that's been generating around social media that makes my blood boil, but also makes me think. Herbert, not clutch. Is Herbert really not clutch anymore? Some people will say, well, that spills over into seasons previous. We needed him in certain times to step up and make the big play. It didn't happen. And yeah, I think you can make a case for that. This young quarterback who just got paid a lot of money. That's a big thing I saw on my stream. Oh my God, the $50 million man can't make a throw here and there. I get it, okay? But this team, guys, just imagine the short sample size that we got with Tyrod Taylor, bless his soul. who's not definitely a terrible quarterback, but remember the small sample size that we had in Herbert's rookie season with Tyrod Taylor? That was not good. That was not fun football. That is where we would exist without Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is still elite to me. Herbert throws for what? 550 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks the last 2 games. Him and the offense put up, what, almost 60 points and still managed to be 0-2 right now. That's a spectacular stat. I've been seeing that make its rounds on social media a lot. That's really hard to do. And of course, Justin Herbert does share some of the blame in there, right? He's not void of blame and mistakes. Of course, Justin Herbert in that last drive in OT should have been able to go and win the game. Last week, he should have been able to lead the offense to an opportunity to win with a field goal. Those are big moments in a quarterback's career that he needs to step up and execute in, obviously. But I don't think that's giving us space as fans to say Herbert is not elite anymore. He absolutely is. But he's still young. He's with a new coach and OC and a whole bunch of new. No. We need to stick with Herbert, guys. He'll be worth the wait. I promise. He'll be worth the wait. Does that mean that we can't say, hey, Herb, man, you gotta make that throw? Or Herb, you gotta lead this team, right? You gotta lead this team in this particular drive, in this moment. This is where names are made. Doesn't mean we can't say that. Of course we should say that. But it is absolutely not time to bury the idea that Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He still is. Stick with him. I promise it will be worth it. But a big thing that I think the Chargers in the offense, before we start moving into the defense a little bit, we have got to finish games. Okay? An identity of this team right now is that we are incapable of finishing. We punted 3 of our final 4 drives. The offense had, 4 opportunities to put this one away. The moment comes to a head at 2 or 3 different opportunities to win early, not to put yourself in these situations in the fourth quarter. It's such a tradition now to have heart attacks as a Chargers fandom in the fourth quarter. It's like, oh my God, how do we do this every single week? That, what we call the curse sometimes on the channel, needs to be broken. From the coaching, from the players, from the execution, whatever it is, the combination, the alchemy behind it all, it needs to lead to us breaking that tradition as a Chargers team. Stop blowing it in the fourth quarter. Stop it. Stop it. You have too much talent that you are wasting, too much potential going down the drain to be incapable of finishing games. Putting them away early, definitely a lot better. But if you're put in these situations where it's time to clutch up, it's time to finish, y'all got to break that curse. That identity lives on today. Coach Staley got really ticked off about bringing up the Jaguars game last season, saying it hasn't bled into this season. Guess what, man? That is our identity still. Week 3 into the 2023 season, we are still the choking team. Until we find a way to break that curse and break that narrative, I don't know if it's going to stop haunting us for a while. You want the Jacksonville curse to go away, you're going to have to break it. Let's talk a little bit about defense. And defense, I think, not too much to talk about here. I think there are things that definitely can get better. I think the defense had a pretty solid week. Okay, and a couple of things that I did want to bring up that could be better. That I think, again, we're talking a lot about the coaching and how to hold them accountable. The personnel confusion is something that I don't understand. What I mean by that is you guys saw a lot of things in terms of the secondary. I think the secondary had some terrible moments this week. And I think maybe some of it has to do with the lack of consistency. I think at the top of the game, I didn't see Michael Davis at all, right? And then he was thrown in there a couple of drives. He struggled. I think there's a couple of things that he did very well, especially defending the run for a DB. That was pretty impressive. But it felt like there was a lot of inconsistency in terms of rotating defensive backs, which the idea of it is okay. I think I can get behind that idea. But the execution behind that, it feels like we are just ripping away the pacing from these guys. We're ripping away the momentum from these guys. Sometimes it's Davis, sometimes it's JC. I think we're seeing a lot more just here Taylor. I think he's kind of more of that permanent star guy lately, the permanent nickelback. But it just feels like it's doing more damage than it is good. There are things I'm seeing that's very good, a little closer to the line of scrimmage, right? The linebackers, certainly the edge play, or I should say the ability on the line to generate pressure, that has been looking very good. But in terms of the defensive back play, that is not working. We have to move away from that. That personnel confusion is not helping this team. The defense as a whole is putting Brandon Staley in a very tough position right now, guys. And again, I'm not the kind of guy that's like, hey, we need to fire Brandon Staley. That is the answer to turn this team around. I don't know if necessarily that's true. And that's going to tick some people off. I understand it. I'm not against it. But I think there's more issues than Brandon Staley going on here. Sure, the team is in a position where if they needed to move on from Brandon Staley this season, I feel way better about that now than I did last year because we have a very capable interim head coach in Herbert and Moore who could step up and take that, responsibility. But that's not going to be easy for Moore. My goodness. Has he ever been a head coach? No, he hasn't. This is going to be new for him, too. It's going to be another learning curve that we're going to have to figure out in the middle of the season. Is that a better situation than letting Brandon Staley continue the circus that he's been running lately? Maybe that's the move, but I think there's a lot more going on here. That being the case, though, I still think Staley's seat is hotter than the surface of the sun, man. It is hot in there, dude. Brandon Staley, as well as the defense and how they perform this week, I think this unit is in shambles. The defense is we're talking about the top of the show. I think we share blame everywhere on this team. You could lean one way or the other. I am leaning towards the defense being the biggest issue right now. And I think it's mainly because, yes, we are a defensive-minded head coach-led team. This team is led by a defensive mind. If there was a strength on this team, it should be the D, and it's not. It's absolutely not. And the biggest thing that pushes me towards oh my God, something needs to change is what happened this week in particular. The Titans have averaged 15 points for the past several seasons per game. 15 points. I don't think they put up, I think Tara, one of our mods in the chat, pointed out that this is the first time they've scored over 22 points since some point 7-8 games ago. It's been forever. And the Chargers led up 27. That does not reflect a good defense. It does not reflect a strength on defense from your team led by a defensive-minded coach. It does not look good. Okay? The defense needs help. There are things that I loved about it. There are things I hate about it. But ultimately, if you've got a guy like Brandon Staley leading the show, we cannot be giving up so many points. It's going to make Justin Herbert's life a living hell. It's going to make Kellen Moore's life a lot more difficult. In the end, this team with so much talent, so much resources on the defensive side of the football, they should not be giving up 25, 30 points every single week. Sometimes 40 almost. That does not look good. Okay? I did want to end this video on a bright note, though, because there are some great things that we saw from this game that we can build with going forward. Because, again, it's okay to be mad. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. Hold the team accountable. Don't give up on them, though. And still recognize the good. It's really easy to get blinded and say, hey, man, this team sucks. There's nothing good about it. There was some good things. Let me share with you guys some of the things that were awesome about the team this week. Kenneth Murray, resurrected. Some of the best play I've seen from him in his entire career happened in this game versus the run. As a pass rusher, holy crap, did this guy shoot out of a cannon and bury Ryan Tannehill. Holy crap, was he all over the pass and the run and everything. He was just such a complete player for this team. We needed him to step up with Eric Kendricks being sidelined, Dan Henley being sidelined, and he did. He did just that. That shows good signs of things to come for the rest of the season, at that position anyway. Speaking of silencing the doubters, Joey Bosa, who, yes, has been suffering from inconsistency being on the field the past couple of seasons. Well, he's back this week, surprisingly, to me even. He's out there on the field, and he's making a big difference. 2 sacks for Joey Bosa. That was a big moment, man. A couple of big moments for this team in critical situations. Joey Bosa's back. And you know what? He looks better than ever because of who's lined up opposite him. Of course, Khalil Mack, I think, still one of the best you'll find in the league. I think he needs to get up to speed again, right? I think Khalil Mack is definitely not washed like a lot of people are saying. I think he needs a little bit more time to get into the groove here. But opposite him right now is Tuli Tuipulotu, man, who I think is the best edge rusher so far out of this rookie class. I think I saw a stat somewhere saying that he's leading this exceptional class of rookie edge rushers in pressures or other stats, et cetera, et cetera. He just looked fantastic. Use your eyeballs. This guy's been big. This guy's been bad. This guy's been all over the place. When it comes to the defense, he's been so good. When I say bad, I mean bad in a good way. Like, man, this man bad. Tuli looks like the real deal. I posted this on Twitter. I was like, guys, if there's one thing to take away from this game that looks really good, Tuli looks absolutely fantastic. And this team as a whole generated 5 sacks this week, baby. This duo of Joey Bosa and Tuli Tuipulotu looks so good. And this is the future of the team. I think next season, Khalil Mack, because of money, we predicted this well before this season, was probably going to be let go. And this would be the duo of the future. This looks good. This looks really, really good if you're a Chargers fan. This is the future. We're going to have Bosa for many more years. Tuli's the next guy coming in, stepping into that Mack role, and holy crap, does it look like it's working. Not just this, but what they've generated on the inside with Morgan Fox, who also got a sack this game. 5 sacks. That's what I want our identity to be. That's what I think Brandon Staley's trying to build in Los Angeles. He's trying to build that team that brings so much heat, so much pressure, that the amount of mistakes made by the quarterback versus decent DB play, which needs to be built on so far still, causes more havoc, more chaos, more turnovers, more sacks. And I think it all starts with your pressure. And this week is definitely what we needed to see. We also slowed down Derrick Henry this week. A lot of it behind guys like Kenneth Murray, which is fantastic, but that was great. This team has showed a spark in our run defense. We needed that. We needed something to build on in terms of our run D. It looked so bad week 1. This week, we went up against Derrick Henry, and we did okay. That deserves a round of applause from the Chargers fan community. The tight ends look so good this week. Actually, let's go here. The tight ends look so good this week. You guys saw a couple of plays where it looked like Gerald Everett went full Hulk mode. He was just plowing through every single player on that defense. At one point, I think he had 5 guys on his back, and he was still going. We also had another, maybe emergence of Stone Smart, who caught a really clutch pass, maybe on 3rd down even, at some point late in the game. The tight ends are starting to emerge, which is looking very good. Both these guys, fantastic. We saw probably the best moment in the offense for the Chargers the past couple of seasons. Trey Pipkins hauling in a 2-point conversion. That was great. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. Of course, Keenan Allen, this dude looks immortal. We keep skipping past it, but it's just because, my God, you guys saw everything. 111 yards, 2 touchdowns for Keenan Allen. We saw in camp a lot of signs that he was definitely going to be a big impact this season. Again, that he wasn't slowing down. Here he is again, baby. In his early 30s, still putting up some ridiculous numbers, being all reliable out there. Finally, I think special teams looks as good as advertised. If you guys blinked, you missed it. Darius Davis looked fantastic as a returner once again this week. The kicking team and Cameron Dicker and all these guys look fantastic. J.K. looked fantastic. Everything about special teams looks so good. Okay, there are things that are great to take away from this week. Okay, but I think, again, a lot of people are going to push into the foreground the things that we have to make work. Ultimately, we need more wins, right? And that's okay, too. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. This team has a long way to go. It's not going to get any easier. This upcoming game versus Minnesota, that's going to be tough. That's going to be very, very tough. But in the end, I am a Los Angeles Charger. Yes, I'm a fan, but in the end, this is my identity. I love this team tremendously. It hurts tremendously when I see stuff like what I saw on Sunday. It does hurt, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm embracing that. I'm holding the team accountable. I'm not going to be silent about it and just be, a blind follower into the darkness. But at the same time, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. As much as it sucks to say sometimes when you see performances like this, as much as it sucks to say how much it hurts, this is me. I'm taking the good and the bad with this team. And I, in the end, believe that a team led by Justin Herbert, a team with so much talent all over the roster, and Derwin James and Joey Bosa and Keenan Allen, etc., 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 I can't bet against them, ever. This is my team. Let's go Bolts, man. Bolt up now and forever. You guys let me know in the comment section below some of your thoughts on this game, some of the things that you think they need to improve on right away, and ultimately maybe even an updated win-loss ratio for you guys. I think the Chargers are still capable of 9 or 10 wins. I'm leaning towards 10 here, but it's really going to have to come from a shift in identity and a shift of execution, a shift of coaching very quickly. Can it come as soon as, the Week 5 bye? I think it absolutely could. But they better get on it quick, because we're about to face Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, the Cowboys, the Chiefs. It's not getting any easier here. We got to get it together. We've got to get together. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Direct. If you liked what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. We'll see you next time, Bolt fam. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. As always, bolt up and stay frosty. Keep your head up. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow, but keep your head up. Enjoy the season. You waited too long for this.